Next up, voltmeters and ammeters. They look very similar, but there are some key differences just to point out. First one, voltmeter says DC volts. So this measures voltage in DC. The other one is ammeter, and it stands for amps, or amperage, and it measures current. So this measures voltage in volts, and this measures current in amps. For now, we're going to work with our ammeter. So one of the key things to look at here is the fact that they have a lot more plugs. Depending on which one you plug your cable into, so in this case, let's say the 5 amp scale, which is on the end, and if you can't see that, let's try and make it a little bit clearer. Not the greatest, but where the cable's plugged in, it says 5 amps. On the actual monitor, you'll see that there are 3 different numbers down the side. One says 5 amps, one says 50 milliamps, and the other one says 500 milliamps. Those numbers relate to the scale you pick along the bottom. So because we've picked 5 amps, we're actually going to be using the 5 amp scale. So here it is 1, not 100. Here it is 2, not 20 or 200. Here it is 3, not the 4, and then we finish at 5. And I'm going to get that cord out of the way. If we were to select, let's say 500 milliamps, we'd be using the 500 milliamp scale. So it means everywhere it will be 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. It does take a bit of getting used to, and one of the things is just a bit of learning to balance. Connecting these, your black needs to go to the negative power part of your power supply. The red, you only need to have one plugged in at any one time, so you would have one plugged in here, or here, or here. You will always have the black negative plug plugged in, but only one red, so you should only ever have 2 cords going into this, or you risk actually breaking the device. If by chance you actually are set on the 5 amp scale, you can actually remove it down, especially if you don't see that pin moving, until you find that that pin moves. Again, the scale changes. The symbol for ammeters is quite simply a nice big circle with an A, and that's for your ammeters, and you can see that they match. Swapping that back out for a voltmeter, put it up the right way. You can see that it also has the 3 plugs. And again, these are a little bit harder to see, but you have your ground and 2 different scales. In this case, we've got 3 volts and 15. If I was to plug into the 15 volt, and just to demonstrate that, if I was plugged into the 15 volt, it means I would use the 15 volt scale along the top. If I was plugged into the 3 volt, I'll be using the 3 volt scale, which means I'm using the numbers on the bottom. Again, it does take practice to use that. Again, you still need to always have your negative plugged in, and you can only have one red positive plugged in at any one time. Finally, the ammeter symbol is for the ammeter. The voltmeter symbol actually works a bit different. Roughly the same size. That's just my drawing skill, and it comes with a V. Again, voltage and V. Always make sure that you tell the difference between these 2 items, because if you do get those 2 different bits and pieces wrong, they can actually be broken, so be very careful that you're putting them in the right order.